What's up, everybody? Welcome to another DSM pregame live. This time we have the Sixers hosting the Dallas Mavericks. I am one half of your host at Scotty Drown, is where you can find me on all social media platforms. You can find the other half of the hosts here at DylanJD98. That's my man Dylan Davis. Happy hump day to you all out there. I'm excited for this matchup tonight. Obviously, we have some losses to get off our back. And the Mavericks, on the other side, they have a lot that they're playing for as well, that being a playoff spot in the West. They're currently 11th in the Western Conference right now. So this should be a good matchup tonight, barring injury assignments, Embiid, Harden being game-time decisions tonight. But before I dish it over to you, Dylan, and ask you how you're doing today, I do want to make sure that we mention to our viewers, if you haven't hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button for DSM Media. That is who this show is presented to you by. And we are here for every Sixers pregame. Phillies pregame will be back tomorrow afternoon. So be sure to hit the subscribe button, turn the notifications on so you can ring that goddamn bell every single time we go live here, including tomorrow's opening day matchup for the Phillies. So, Dylan, my man, that was a ramble. How are you doing, my man? Happy hump day to you. I know you just got off a whirlwind of two Phillies preview shows, one with Hembo and one with our good buddy George Ryder. So how are you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. Like you said, most importantly, guys, hit that subscribe button, help us grow. We appreciate it. If you guys don't know, if you're new to us, we tend to give back. We like to do some giveaways for our local teams and for our subscribers as well. So it's not just the content. You guys can also be raffling off for jerseys, T-shirts, hats, all that good stuff for Sixers, Phillies, and Eagles. Just did a show with Hembo on this Philly season outlook, and then did another one with George, just to kind of get different analysis and different perspectives, right? But all in all, a lot of positives, and this season's going to be a lot of fun. But looking at the Sixers season, we're in a weird time right now, man. Listen, you and I have done a lot of pregame shows together throughout this season. We're going to continue. Playoffs are going to be a lot of fun, but that's exactly where I need to be right now. I need to get to the playoffs. They're in this weird limbo spot right now where they're injured. They don't know what they want to do with Joel, with Harden. They've lost 3 straight. The schedule isn't easing up. Yeah. You mentioned Dallas tonight, man. Yes, thankfully it's in Philly. It's at the Wells Fargo Center. Yeah. They're desperate right now. And you have a desperate team in Dallas with a team in Philly who they don't even know what their starting five is going to look like at the moment. That worries me heading into a matchup like tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you there, man. And like we said, the injury designations for tonight are going to be very important. And I'm with you because the last time we played this Mavericks team, mind you, it was in Dallas. It was kind of a shit show, especially defensively, trying to guard Kyrie and Luka Doncic. Mind you, they haven't been playing very well of late. They're 3-7 in their last 10, them being the Dallas Mavericks. They actually won their last one. And their road record, 15-23 on the road. So they're not great on the road. They're honestly not great overall. They're 37-39 on the season. So things aren't going great for this Kyrie and Luka partnership. But to your point, if you don't have Embiid and Harden, that's enough to beat the Sixers, right? It's hard to beat them without your two main guys. It's hard to beat anybody without your two main guys, if we're being realistic here. Let's start right at the top. We do want to recap this Denver game a little bit, obviously, coming off the loss. You mentioned it, 3 straight losses on the road there in the West Coast trip. Obviously not how we wanted it to go, but you kind of have to throw those out when you're talking about Harden missing the first 2. It was a back-to-back. We saw Embiid kind of, tire down in that second matchup against Phoenix, and then obviously both of them missed the matchup against the Denver Nuggets. Nonetheless, you had a 116-111 win for the Denver Nuggets in Denver. This one was a weird one, man, to say the least. It kind of went the opposite of how I said it would go, but also kind of the opposite of how you said it would go too. Yeah. How does that happen? Like, I believe I said I thought it would be a close one down to the wire, even without Embiid and Harden. You said you thought it would either be a Sixers win or we would get blown out. It was a mix of both, but the opposite of what each of us said, because they were getting blown out towards the end of the third quarter and were able to make a comeback with their bench unit in the fourth quarter against the Nuggets starters. So let me ask you for any takeaways you have with this game, Dylan.
It's Michael Malone, right? I'm getting the first name correct.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What is Denver doing? So now it makes me go back to the Kendrick Perkins initial comment of the Joker stat padding. And while I don't agree with his point about, the triple doubles, and JJ Redick answers back with, well, they're, 28-0 with his 20th triple double. So I don't mean it necessarily that way, but like that is the definition of stat padding. Like you are up by 20 points. Doc Rivers has conceded. Doc Rivers has thrown in the tally. Is Furkan Korkmaz, Jaden Springer, hell, Montrezl Harrell's coming off the bench, and you have your starting lineup out there. Now, the cherry on top for us, if there was a positive throughout this catastrophe, right, missing Embiid and Harden, the Sixers came back, which somehow, some way, still helped the Joker's MVP case. They're back to even in the odds. But like how Jaden Springer and Furkan Korkmaz and Paul Reed and Montrezl Harrell and whoever the hell else mounted a ridiculous fourth quarter comeback in the final 6.5 minutes of this game on the road, and had it at a 3-point game, and should have gotten the ball back, mind you.
Yeah.
with a chance to tie with under 20 seconds. That is, dude, if I'm Denver, I know it's like night to night, and you and I know what it's like to take your lumps and not overreact by one loss or one ugly win as a fan. Like, a win's a win. If I'm like, there's no reason to be overly optimistic after that performance if you're a Nuggets fan.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah. I think, on a night where Jokic gives you 25 points, 17 rebounds, 12 assists, mind you had the triple-double. It was a 25 and 15-plus night, right, plus the 12-plus assists. He was 8 for 11 from the field. Mind you, he's playing against Dwayne Dedmon, Paul Reed, and Montrezl Harrell. A little bit of P.J. Tucker mixed in there as well. Played 35 minutes in this game, man, and end up winning this game by 5. Mind you, like you said, a lot of the times when you get the win, that's all that matters, and you move on. But we're getting closer to the playoffs, man, and you're talking about a team that was up. Let's see. Let's just fact-check this really quick. This team was up 22 at one point, right? Against the Sixers team without James Harden, without Joel Embiid, right? And we've already seen the Sixers dog walk this team. We've seen Embiid dog walk Jokic. Obviously, it was in Philly, so it's a different ball game in Denver. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, I don't understand how you can come out of that optimistic. Because you ask Mike Malone, like, why the hell were the starters in there 35 plus minutes? Because Jamal Murray played 36 minutes as well. Mind you, Maxey, nobody else, they were the most played players in this game as well. And Maxey didn't overcome that amount of minutes. But you ask Mike Malone, like, why the hell are these starters in? But if he took those starters out, do they lose this game, right? Like, so it's like, why does he feel like they have to play that way up until the end of the game? And I think that speaks to your confidence level within your team, right? With holding on to leads and whatnot.
So there's 2 points here. Right, like it takes away any sentiment that Denver strikes fear in anybody. Like, dude, I'm sorry, they are not a fearful team. They're a damn good team. They're pretty deep. They're the 1 seed for a reason. I gotta tell you, Scotty, I haven't been on NBA Scotty Talks with you, but if we did a playoff preview, I would have them as my 3rd or 4th team out west. If you're talking fully healthy KD and the Suns, fully healthy Clippers, who the hell knows, fully healthy Lakers? I don't know. I'm just Golden State. I don't know.
Let me tell you this.
If so clear me.
The way they line up right now in the Western Conference, mind you, they're the 1 seed, and they should take care of business to lock that up. Right now, the Pelicans, mind you, play in tournament, right? So that affects everything. But the Pelicans are the 8th seed right now. And let's just say Zion comes back in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Let's just say it happens. I mean, it could. You just don't know with his injury status all the time. If that happens, I would call that a pick'ems in that series. Like, mind you, you have to get Zion acclimated. It can't just be fresh out in the playoffs and playing off an injury. But that's just an example. You have Minnesota in there. Karl Anthony Towns is back now. You have the LA Lakers where they've looked better. They got LeBron back. OKC as SGA. They have a little bit of firepower. So, yeah, I mean, the West is stacked, too. It's like, it's stacked, but it's like there's a bunch of mid teams. I don't even know how to explain it.
Oh, no, I'm with you. there's star power over there for sure.
Yeah.
Nugget, I mean, the Mavericks are the 11th seed, and they have Kyrie and Luka. Like, I
Yeah.
understand that. But in terms of success and record wise, there is a bunch of nothing scary
Weird,
over there,
right?
man. And I'll tell you this:
A
I'm
bunch
not
of teams
LeBron
not
James.
fulfilling where they're supposed to be at is
Oh yeah,
that's the best way to put it. Because like the Clippers, the Suns, they're not fulfilling where they should be at. Even the Warriors.
I am not a LeBron James stan. If
Yeah,
they are fully healthy, if Anthony Davis is fully healthy, if LeBron James is back
yeah,
fully healthy, with those additions at the
yeah.
deadline, they will beat Denver Nuggets in a series.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I got to see what LeBron looks like down the stretch, but I'm with you, man. They could definitely beat
Now,
them. I mean,
let
this,
me
yeah,
ask you before we move on to the other side of things.
yeah,
There's a lot of blowback onto Doc Rivers' desk because he conceded the game with 6 minutes left, and then they make that comeback. So everyone was tweeting and talking about how Doc gave up on the team and he pulled the starters too early. What do you make of all that? Because in my mind, yeah, it's kind of a bad look, but I don't think the start like for in whatever weird reality we were in that night, the starters weren't mounting that comeback.
yeah,
They'd be getting their asses kicked for the entirety of the game. So while it sounds crazy to say Jaden Springer and Furkan Korkmaz and these guys did a better job than the starters
yeah,
would have, that's the truth, in my opinion. Like Maxey and
yeah.
them weren't going to do anything different in the last 6 minutes to come back.
Yeah, I tend to agree there. I think that's a tough one. It's, no matter what Doc does there, I think he could get ripped. Because I think when you look at that backup unit was the one that brought them back. They were on a roll. And most of the time, especially when you don't have Embiid and Harden, I know we love Maxey, love Tobias. No, I'm not going to say we love Tobias. Tobias is a starter, right? Maxey is a legitimate guy that we love and would like to see back in that game. But when you don't have Harden and Embiid, it's not like, oh, bring the starters back now and let's secure this. More or less, there's not much drop off besides Maxey between who you have in the game right now versus the way that unit was playing. So I don't know. I wouldn't have rushed like Maxey back out there. Mind you, I don't know if Maxey was tired towards the end there as well, towards the end of that third quarter, because he just wasn't playing defense. I'll be honest with you. I was watching him. There was a corner three that was wide open. That was definitely Maxey's guy. He just wasn't moving around on defense. I think he was just ultra focused on running the offense and being an offensive factor. So taking him off, putting in a guy like Jaden Springer, who's just like a little dog on a leash when it comes to defense. I mean, it's a little ridiculous the way he plays, but I think that was just the spark that they needed in that moment, if that makes sense. And there's not another way to go around it. They weren't going to win the game. They were able to come back and make it competitive. And
I will tell you, regardless if Denver left their starters in there, they definitely took their foot off the gas in a way that they wouldn't have if the Sixers starters had stayed in.
Absolutely. And I think that's probably one of the bigger points there is if the starters stay in, maybe they pound Jokic down in the paint a little bit more, or whatever the case may be.
The game's taken a little more seriously by Denver.
Just 3 quick takeaways, and then we can move on to tonight's matchup. I know we're about halfway through here. Paul Reed, he's got to be the backup center, right? I know he's spotty here and there, right? There's times where he annoys the hell out of me, but there's no way he can annoy the hell out of you as much as Dwayne Dedmon or a Montrezl Harrell, especially on the defensive end. I don't know. I just see performances like this against this Denver team. You see him getting up and down the floor. You see him bringing energy. He just does a lot of the stuff that they lack, and that's rebounding, blocking shots, protecting the paint. I feel like he more than showed that he is the backup center in this team. Jalen McDaniels, he looked a lot better in this game. He was moving around a lot better, shooting the ball a lot better as well. He was 6 for 8 from the field. And then D-Melt, man, he has really stunk. The last 2 to 3 games on the road. I mean, I love Anthony Melton, but man, he has stunk on the offensive end, especially.
Yeah. No, they have a bench issue at the moment, man. They do. D'Anthony, obviously, he started the last 2 games in place of Harden, which limits the bench, I guess, as well. But even off the bench, he has not played well over the last couple of games or so. He's been spotty. I forget what game it was, whether it was Golden State or before that. He did hit a bunch of threes, but he has been very spotty.
Yeah. He had 25 one. I know what night you're talking about. Yeah,
was it the Bulls? It
might have been the Bulls. It might have been the Bulls. Yeah.
He's been spotty. Shake's coming in and turning the ball over and looking like that timid, not confident Shake Milton again, which stays a problem with this team somehow, some way. But I agree with you on the Paul Reed thing, and I am not his biggest fan
Yeah.
as well. I think there's definitely a cap to his ceiling, right,
Yeah.
and his talent level that I think some Sixers fans mistake.
Yeah.
However, he's your best option, bro.
Yeah. You don't
It
have
is
better
that
options.
there is no effing way Dwayne Dedmon deserves not even a roster spot, Scotty. He's a waste of a roster spot. He does
Yeah.
nothing. How old? First of all, he looks like he's 62 years old.
He's
What is he
older
doing
now.
on the basketball floor still?
And Daryl Morey gets ripped for this, and I was defending him for a little bit, kind of say, "Oh, there's nothing out." Man, there was Terrence Ross out there in the open market, and you saw what he
Nerlens
did for
Noel.
Phoenix.
You're telling
Nerlens
me Nerlens
Noel, right?
Noel couldn't give you anything
Better
better?
options easily,
Charles
right?
Bassey.
Even if it's a
Charles
different
Bassey would be
position.
better than what Dwayne Dedmon's
Yeah.
freaking giving.
Yeah.
I'll go a step further. I said this to you the other night. Montrezl Harrell would give you more than Dwayne Dedmon is giving you. And
I don't
want to see
understand how you
Montrezl Harrell
sign
play.
Dedmon off the street and throw him into the starting lineup rather than Trez. I get that we've seen Trez and it hasn't been
Guess
pretty,
what?
but
Now I've seen Dwayne, okay?
yeah.
And I've seen enough of Dwayne.
Don't need to see that again. I was honestly so surprised that they started him, but I also figured this game's going to go pretty bad with this happening.
One last thing I have to throw out there. And
Yeah.
yes, maybe because he was a bet I placed, he was on the best bet slip that made me more agitated.
We're going with this.
That game is where you look and say, what exactly does PJ Tucker do sometimes? Like, you and I are a defender of PJ Tucker. When everybody else continues to put him down because he doesn't hit threes, whatever. You and I have said in the biggest moments, in the biggest games this year against tougher teams, he has stepped up. And he has. However, Scotty, he had a 0-0-0 stat line in 22 minutes of play. I think he was a team high plus minus negative. I don't know what PJ Tucker showed up to do in Denver the other night. He didn't grab a singular rebound.
We picked him for
went
4
over
rebounds
from the corners. So,
0 for 2 from the corners, 0 for 2 from the field, a minus 23. So he was the biggest negative impact in this game for the Sixers.
I don't know what he did, Scotty.
It's the opposite of what we preach,
He had
right?
multiple opportunities to grab a board and just got jumped over, was too far under the rim, out of position. He looked like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah, it's weird, right? And it's does he only show out when Embiid and Harden are there?
Right, did he know this was a loss, and he's just like, I'm here to get my pay.
Right, I'm here to get my paycheck and be another body on the court.
You lost me some pay, okay?
Yeah, I don't know, man. These are the ones that are inexcusable, right? And we talk about Tobias all the time. Well, at some point, we got to hold PJ accountable as well. I know sometimes it gets unfair, and I think, some fans can be irrational, but to their point, in these individual situations where you have a game like this, it backs their point up even more, right? Yeah. And it's exactly what they're talking about. It's the opposite of what we say about PJ Tucker. It's something that you can't see on the stat sheet. Well, yeah, you can't see anything because there's nothing there except for a negative 23 and a plus minus.
The stat sheet saw a bunch of this.
Yeah, so I feel you. You can't see it on the stat sheet, but you couldn't see it on the court either in this game if you watch. So definitely some concerns, right, as we approach the playoffs. Yeah. I think, we talked a good bit about Denver in this matchup, but just the overall concerns as we get closer to the playoffs. There's only 7 games left. We have 2 more left in this month, including tonight. Then we have 5 opening April. Mind you, those 5 in April are just it's a gauntlet, man. I mean, the Mavs, the Raptors this week, and then I think you get the Bucks, the Celtics, the Heat, with some there's 2 other playoff teams thrown in there in April as well. I can't remember exactly who they are, but Harden, Embiid, it's the questionable status every night. It's the worst thing you want to see before you go to the postseason. And the worst part is that we dealt with most of this season. We didn't deal with it, right?
Yeah. Outside the first 2 months, obviously when they were out for a while,
yeah,
they came back and then they were significantly healthy for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, so let's get into this matchup tonight, man. We can digress a little bit further into the Sixers and what they got to do in the upcoming stretch as well as tonight. Let's talk about keys to victory, man. What are we looking for in this game? I'll let you know now. Dallas is the 30th ranked rebounding unit in the NBA, so they are worse than the Sixers when it comes to rebounding. They're the 28th assist team in the NBA, so the ball doesn't move around a whole bunch. 37 and 39 on the season, as I mentioned earlier, 3-7 in their last 10. What are you looking at in this game, Dylan, as a key to stopping this Mavs team?
So there's a few things, right? There's a few areas of advantage the Sixers can gain here in where they wouldn't have against other teams. You mentioned the rebounding opportunity. That's big tonight, especially if Joel and Harden are on the floor. Pace. The Sixers run at a slightly higher pace than the Dallas Mavericks do, and you don't get that against multiple opponents. Luka is a young man in an old soul, dude. Like, he plays a slow ISO type of game right now. Don't get me wrong; he shares the ball with the best of them. Averages over 8 or 9 assists, I believe, but it's crazy to watch, man. But so those two areas, obviously, and then B, health, right? Like James and or Joel have to play tonight for them to have a chance. Outside of that, you mentioned their assist totals. They play a lot of isolation basketball. Why is that? Oh, their backcourt. Their backcourt likes to get the ball and go to work, right? I'm over helping. I'm overextending. And I'm funneling them out of the lane, right? So that's what I would do on Kyrie and Luka tonight. And then just knock on wood and pray that Dallas doesn't make 38 threes or whatever the hell they knocked down in Dallas a couple weeks ago. That's just not going to happen. That 3-point disparity is not going to be there like it was on the road before.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm funneling them out of the lane. I'm overextending. I'm overhelping on Luka and Kyrie whenever they get in isolation. And I'm making the others beat me. So if Luka is isolating on or Kyrie's isolating on D-Melt, guess what? I'm sending help and I'm making him get the ball out of his hands. And if Reggie Bullock knocks down 6 threes tonight, so be it. If Powell knocks down 6 threes tonight, or Kleber, whatever the case is, one of those guys has to step up and knock down shots. I'm not getting beat by the tandem.
Yeah, I'm not giving up 82 points to Luka and Kyrie tonight, right? Like, we're not doing that again. That's the thing. In that matchup in Dallas where they hit a bunch of threes in that matchup, if you just eliminate one or the other, right? Like, take either Kyrie out of the game or Luka, right? Just let one of them go off and stop the other. You probably win that game, man, even with all the three-pointers made. Now, I'm with you all the way. Most of your points are most of my points here. Perimeter defense I have is one. That's the key to victory here. Obviously, you're going against Luka, Kyrie, Tim Hardaway Jr., Reggie Bullock, right? They're borderline fully healthy, right? Mm-hmm. I think Maxi Kleber is the only one that's questionable going into tonight, as far as their regular rotation. So you gotta focus on the perimeter, right? And that's where we've seen the Sixers struggle of late. It feels DeAnthony Melton, of course, is going to compete on the defensive end. He's going to guard their best player, but then who's that next guy that can take the next man up? And that's kind of been the problem that we've been witnessing over the last few games, man. It's just these second options that are getting to us. So I need our perimeter defense to step up. Look, if Harden's not playing tonight, I know Doc doesn't do this, so I wouldn't count on it. Jaden Springer, just throw him in. It's the end of this. We need bodies, man. Like, at the end of the day, if Harden can't go, Shake's not playing great, D'Anthony Melton's not playing great, why not throw a guy that's leading the G League in steals out there on the floor in a game like tonight? It's just one of those things. Like, if you operate with a 4-guard rotation whenever Harden's in, why not operate with that 4-guard rotation, just bringing the next man up and operate like that, even if it's 5 minutes? Like, just throw him out there on the court. We know he won't happen.
I agree with you. I was going to say, can I put a percentage on the chance that Doc
What's your percentage?
0.
Yeah.
Unless it's a blowout, Jaden Springer's not seeing the floor.
Yeah, it's almost not even worth mentioning.
No, I do agree with you, though. When you see it, listen, and I need everybody to understand when we mention stuff like that, that's not to say, like, we need to see more of Jaden Springer. He showed so much and he need whatever. I'm talking about in this circumstance. You mentioned if Harden doesn't play, like, that's circumstantial. Right?
Yeah, exactly. If things are going south, if you're getting killed by Kyrie and Luka,
try something different.
But you will have Jalen McDaniels. That's a good thing tonight. He can defend on the perimeter, so maybe that'll help having him back more healthy. You mentioned a 3-point line, funneling. If those guys are going to hit threes tonight, What I'm saying from the other end of the perspective, stay competitive from the three-point line as well. It's something we've been hammering the table about. Getting more threes up, right? Especially with the health concerns. Make it as easy as possible if Embiid is in tonight. Let's not work him into the ground. I mean, he's going to put up numbers. Don't get me wrong. He always is going to put up numbers. But like we always talk about, let's help him out a little bit. Let's be ready to let it fly from the three-point line. Last time we played the Dallas Mavericks, mind you, they broke records in their own building with the amount of threes they hit in that game.
And we only lost by 7.
With that being said, they shot 25 for 48 from the three-point line in that game. Sixers were 12 for 27. So they made 13 more three-pointers in that game, and they got up about 21 more shots.
And their duo combined for over 80.
Exactly. So that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
You would think that's not going to happen at home, but don't.
You can take a positive away from all that. All those things you just listed out, the 3-point discrepancy, the stars going off, everything that went wrong on the road, they lost by 7.
Exactly. Yeah. They shouldn't shoot like that on the road. They just haven't. It's the truth. The statistics will show you that.
Oh, but I'll tell you one thing's for sure. Dallas Mavericks will not make 25 3-pointers.
25 3, yeah. So we may be good if that happens, but nonetheless, my final key to victory here, Dylan, and it's probably the same thing for the Dallas Mavericks side as well. But I think the Sixers need to get a little desperate tonight and play a little desperate tonight. We're not in a comfort zone right now. We're how many games up on the Cavs right now? I believe 1.5 games up on them. So you do, in a sense, have to take care of business down the stretch here in order to hold that seeding as much as you can. Now, mind you, we've talked about this numerous amount of times as far as Embiid and Harden's health. I'm not saying get desperate and throw them out there injured. I'm just saying get desperate as a sense and a mindset of the team that you're going to go out there and collect every rebound. You're going to pound them on the board tonight. You're going to play scrappy. Yeah. You're going to get to all the loose balls because I guarantee you if Dallas should be playing like that tonight. Mind you, they might not just because they don't have the mental makeup of a defensive, physical-minded team, right? But they should be playing like that tonight. They should be playing scrappy because they are the 11th seed in the West, man. Yeah. So play desperate tonight, Philly. We don't want to see 4 losses in a row as we're approaching the playoffs here.
No, I agree with you 100%, man. The Sixers have 2 games on the Cavs at the moment, but like you said, with these injuries, with this schedule, that can disappear like that. Like tonight, it could be down to 1. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, man.
Got to take care of business.
Like you
said.
Especially
at home, right? Yeah. Especially at home.
26 and 11 at home. Dallas sub 500 on the road. They don't play tough defense. They don't rebound well. They don't share the ball well. Come on. You know what I mean?
Come on. Give us something here. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. So with that being said, obviously, guys, we're not going to get the best bets on the show just because Harden and Embiid being game time decisions.
Classic.
Those odds are going to come out way, way, way late, probably right before the game. We'll probably have 15 minutes to get the bets in. So we'll try to get them out as early as we can after the show if we can. But if not, that is why. Nonetheless, let's go with predictions and X Factor. Who do you think is going to be the guy to make that impact on the game that makes the difference between a win and a loss? And do you see this as a win or a loss?
So I'm going to exclude the big 2. I'm going to exclude Harden and Embiid because we just don't know if they're playing. And if obviously a lot comes down on that. Outside of that, I am going to go with Tyrese Maxey. I think he is the energy. He is the aggressor. He is the scorer that they need in a game like this. Because let's be honest, as many goals as we as many keys as we lay out, as much as we want them to do certain things against Kyrie and Luka, I would bet a good $1 on the fact that these 2 get off tonight, at least a little bit, right? Yeah. You're never going to stop those guys. You can try to limit or slow them down. You're going to need offense to combat them. Tyrese Maxey is that explosive bucket scorer, can get hot from 3, fastest dude on the floor, probably can get to the rim, cause havoc. Yeah. He is my X factor tonight, whether Harden and Embiid play or not, because for 2 reasons. If not, if one or both of them are out, Maxey's got to be the guy. It's the bottom line.
Yeah.
If they're in, I need to continue to see him mesh and be that aggressor next to and in
Yeah.
between those two. Not be timid, not pass up on open threes. There's no way Tyrese Maxey can go from taking over 20 shots in a game with those two off the floor because he's that talented. He's the
Yep.
guy without them
Yeah.
to taking under 10 shots with
Yeah.
those two on the
No.
floor. That
No.
discrepancy, that bridge cannot be that big, that far, right?
That's the thing. He should be getting 7, 8 threes alone in every game, right? He should be
at
putting those
least
up. He's shooting
minimum
50%
6.
from the three-point line in March.
Absolutely. In terms of my prediction, I picked the Sixers as a loss for the last two, I believe.
Yeah.
They will get back in the win column because I'm confident that one, if not both, of Joel and James play tonight. Doc said he believes they will, but there'll be a game time decision. We know some funky things can happen. Obviously, if either one of them is 1% worried or injured, the playoffs are first in mind. Let them sit out again. But I think they're good to go. I think they bounce back. We mentioned it. Only lost by 7 on the road. Dallas made history, broke records, could not miss. The Stars got off. I don't think that happens tonight.
Yeah.
And I take the Sixers to win this one.
Yeah, I love your point. Just to kind of piggyback to what you said about Kyrie and Luka, because it just feels like Kyrie always cooks the Sixers. I don't know. It's like we never have an answer for Kyrie and his skill set, like what he can do. Mind you, he is one of the most dynamic players in the NBA, but it just seems like he always goes off against the Sixers, whether it was on the Celtics, the Nets, like it just didn't matter. But nonetheless, I'm with you tonight. I do think of this as a Sixers win tonight. I do think it could end up close, depending who's in or out of the lineup. That being said, even with Embiid, let's say Embiid, Harden, neither of them play. I think the Sixers still have a chance in this game. It's obviously not as good as if both of those guys are at least one plays. If I had to go with the gut feeling, I would say Embiid is going to play, Harden is going to sit again. That's just a gut feeling.
Does that make you worried at all about Harden's injury then?
I think Harden's injury is more worrisome than Embiid's, I guess is the way I would put that. I'm more confident that Embiid is not a long-term thing than I am that Harden's isn't. That being said, the Achilles injury designation scares me, especially with somebody at Harden's age. That's around the same age Kevin Durant tore his Achilles. I'm just speculating there. I don't know that for a fact, but just a few years ago when KD tore his Achilles, it just scares me when you see that designation. Soreness, right? That means something's tweaked there. It's straining. I don't like it, and I would imagine you go with 100% caution with Harden versus Embiid. Both of them, you have to go 100% caution. I don't mean it that way. I just trust that Embiid's a little bit healthier, but either way, we'll find out shortly here. I do think it's an awkward matchup for Philadelphia, just with that two-guard set in the backcourt. But nonetheless, the Sixers are by far the better team. Like, they are the better roster. They're the better team. They have the better makeup as far as defensively and offensively, I believe. So even if Embiid does miss this game, I still may pick them to win this game. You look at the Mavericks, man. They were having let me correct myself. I was going to say they were having a tough time with the Hornets in a back-to-back. They lost to the Hornets two times in a row. And this is a Hornets team without LaMelo Ball. They're missing a lot of their guys as well. And they're not a team that's playing for much. Mind you, the Dallas Mavericks are playing for everything right now. So do I believe in this Mavericks team as like a world beater, somebody that should scare you coming into Philly? I just don't. I know they've beaten us. But this is a very, very beatable team. I'm going to go with a close Sixers win around 120 in that range for the Sixers. I think they'll be able to score the rock tonight. I'll go 114, 115 for the Mavs. My player of the game to watch, I'm going to go kind of the opposite of you here. I guess Maxey, we look at him as that spark plug, that scoring option. And I agree with you. I think he is, even when Harden and Embiid are in the lineup, you know what they're going to do. He's that X factor. He's that difference that if he plays to where we know he can play, this team is borderline unbeatable. And I'm saying that very lightly. That I'm saying that with Embiid and Harden healthy in mind. But I'm going to go with D-Melt in this game.
Okay.
I just told you that he's played horrible. I even mentioned Jaden Springer, and I think that shows signs that I'm a little down on D-Melt right now. So I want him to kind of rise back up and get to where we know he can play at, especially before we get to the playoffs. I think tonight is a good night to start because D-Melt can not only affect the game on the defensive end, we know how good he is at getting in passing lanes and stealing the ball. But if he can just hit some threes tonight, if he can hit some shots, it's such a difference in the Sixers play. We talk about Maxey being that third scoring option. When D-Melt can hit some threes, that's another way the Sixers are borderline unstoppable.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go with D-Melt tonight. I think he's going to play a big role, obviously defensively, but hopefully he can hit some shots as well.
I think DeAnthony Melton is the perfect X factor in terms of just overall team success, especially in the
Yeah.
playoffs, because he is exactly that. He is an X factor. He's semi-unknown night to night. You
Yeah.
know what you're getting from Joel.
Yeah.
95% of the time this year, you know what you're getting from James outside of a bad shooting night.
Yeah.
You should know what you're getting from Maxey.
Yeah.
Anthony Melton is that guy that sways and toes the line
Yeah.
of can get you 15 plus, can play solid defense,
So
cause
weird.
havoc, cause a couple steals, or he looks bad, man.
Yeah.
So
Really bad,
he's the
right? When he's bad,
definition
he's
of an
bad.
X factor. Yeah.
When he's bad, he's bad. So yeah, I like D-Melt and Maxey tonight, regardless of the injury designations for Embiid and Harden. I do like both of those guys to make an impact tonight. They're going to need help from all the guards when it comes to this backcourt they're going against. But that is going to be it for this episode, man. Obviously, no best bets, as we mentioned. Hopefully, the odds will be out right when we get off of here. But nonetheless, guys, thanks for tuning in. Everybody that did, make sure to hit that subscribe button on the DSM Media YouTube channel. Yes, be sure to check us out tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. We will be previewing the Phillies Texas Rangers matchup to open the MLB season for the Phils. So be sure to check that out. Hit the subscribe button. Turn the notifications on for YouTube so that bell rings every single time we go live. And, of course, be sure to check out my co-host here at DylanJD98 on Twitter. You can find me at Scotty Drown on all social media platforms. That is going to be it for this episode of DSM Pregame Live. That's going to be it for us. Go Sixers. Have a good one, everybody. Good night.